Hi there and welcome to this week's episode of Church Online. This week we have a life story and we are hearing from Cristeta and the journey of her finding faith, enduring loss, moving to a different country and finding love. It is a real encouraging story. I'm sure that you will enjoy it. So I'm not going to take up any more of your time. We're going to head straight into this life story.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Cristeta. I'm originally from the Philippines, as you can see. I'm married to Philip Watt. He's from Fraser. We've been married now for 5 years, and we have one daughter. Name her Esther, and she just turned 1 a couple of weeks ago.
Brilliant. How long have you been in Fraser before? Has that been a while now? Or?
I've been a while now, yes. We've been married for 5 years, so maybe before it could be like 7 years, I would say.
Do you like it?
I do like it, although I miss weather in Philippines. It's warm.
Brilliant. So tell us about your childhood growing up in the Philippines.
I grew up in Philippines. It's just in a simple family. I have 4 siblings, 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and I was the youngest. I was 1 when we lost our father. He was killed, and so my mother left 5 children. So it's been really difficult for her to raising 5 children. So we respect her so much because what she's been through, and yeah. My mother was just only the first Christian in my family, and sometimes she dragged me to church. I have no choice. Because I'm just little. Like, you just have to come with me in the church and goes in the Sunday school. But my other sibling, my 2 brothers and my 2 sisters, doesn't really go to church because they just a bit older now, so they can just do whatever they want. And but my mother's hoping and praying that one day all of her children goes in the church and got saved as well. So it's.
How did your mum find her faith if she was the first person?
Actually, she used to be. She was devoted Catholic before, and she has a lot of saints in her house, like saints. She got saved. She actually had a brain tumor when she was young, and it's been really difficult for her because she thought that she has a strong faith to God, and why she still experienced that. And then one day she had a dream. I remember she had a dream. She have a pastor. She have a cousin. It's a pastor, and she saw her cousins destroying all the saints in her house. And then after that, she called her cousin and says that, what I'm gonna do with all this saint. And I believe that God spoke to me that I should have to destroy this. And then the next day, her cousin invited her to go in the church, and she got saved and she got baptized in the same day. And then when she got baptized, she knew that she was healed, and she don't feel any more pain. Then when she goes in the doctor was shocked that he don't see any more tumor in her head. So it's a miracle. So since then she goes in the same church where my cousin goes to, and it's really amazing how God works in her life.
Mm-hmm. And that was after you lost your dad?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So probably quite a tough start.
Yes. Some people say to me, it's a good thing you've never met your father, because he is not a good dad. Same with my siblings as well. They said that because it's been really it's just kind of like abusive. So when he died, actually, my siblings says they were so happy. I know it's sad. It's bad to hear that, but
Yeah. So how did you find growing up through school and through primary school and that? How was that for you?
Well, there's nothing really interesting in my school days in school. Just like you just go into school and study and just like that goes home. So there's nothing really.
Did you do well at school?
I do. I do. I always wanted to be in a top, like to get a top on the school. So just yeah, but I just like I've been transferring a different school as well because it's been I used to live in my aunt's, and so because my mother was working out, because I have a big different gap with my brothers and my sister, so she couldn't really watch me because she had to work. So that time my aunt is just in her house doing nothing, so she decided like I could keep Cristeta here while her school, she could study in this school because it's not too far in my house. So I'm just like jumping in a different school, and I was just like in my primary. In that time as well, my auntie is one of my teachers. It's really difficult and living her in her house. So, yeah.
So how was that kind of transition into your kind of young kind of person age, being a young person?
It's really difficult to make friends, especially if they knew that you were a Christian, like goes in a church, because they're like mocking you, like, oh, Cristeta is singing, clapping, raising her hands, just like the same with her mom. So it's like it's really, unless if you can find a Christian friends, like Christian students as well, that you can make friends, but it's really, you really don't know who's really a Christian or not a Christian, because they're just trying to be mean to you sometimes. So
when did you make that decision to be a Christian yourself?
well, actually it happens to my brother. Started my brother August. Might be people in church might know him, like when the people goes in mission in Philippines, they probably met my brother. My brother was a troublemaker. he likes the trouble. He thinks that he's a top guy, that he can just fight with anyone. He knows, like, wants to fight. One night he had a big fight with some young lads, and it ends up that he almost killed someone. So when he just see this guy lying on the ground, not moving, he got scared. He ran away and he hid so that the police didn't caught him. So he's been really worried that he could be in a prison. And then he's also worried about us, because we are all girls in our family. My other brother he's quite far. So me and my mother and my two sisters just left in the house, and then the next day there's somebody was throwing a stone in our house. So we were very, very scared. So we're messaging my brother August, like, there's some people sending us, threatening us messages like they're gonna do this. So my brother got scared, and then he just said that he doesn't know what else he's gonna do. He made these things, and so the only things that he do is he prayed to God. That is the time that his life was changed. He prayed to God, and he just said to God, Lord, let this be finished. Let this be, let this problem be done. I will give my life to you. So that his prayer. The next night he had a dream. He saw a lorry, and then there was a man, a big white man, opened the door and says to him, wearing a white, and he says, come, follow me. So he raised this man's hand, and then he followed this guy. And then the next day, the next following day, we messaged him, there's a good news. And we said to him, the guy that you almost killed, his family doesn't want to put any more case and put you into jail. So you can just come home and just help them to pay the bill in the hospital. So the next day, my cousin came up and visited my brother, invited him to go in a church. And that's the time he met Pastor Mark Ritchie. And he just said in the dream, that was the guy I saw in the dream. It's a big white man. And then since then, his life has been changed. And we see a big different change. We see a big different change in his life. He was just like totally different person. So the following, and then he just said to us, you should have to go in the church where I goes to. And he just said it to me, you should have to go because there's a free biscuits and a free juice out there after service. So because I was just young, I was just like 11 at times. I just said, okay, I'll just go wherever you go. And never did I know that the Lord will going to do something for me and to my two sisters as well. That we just decided to accept the Lord Jesus Christ that day, that Sunday. And we just, after that, our life has been different since before. Like my two sisters doesn't like me before because I have a different God with them. But for the first time, I heard my sister say, "I love you" to me, and I was just shocked. And it's just like totally life changing, not just only for my brother, but our whole family. That's why we actually one of the first family got saved when Pastor Mark Ritchie was the senior pastor in Cornerstone at the time.
Brilliant. So you were going to that church then from that point?
Yes, since then we always go to that church. We never miss any church at all. So
that's brilliant. So you've started going to church, and you're seeing God do stuff in your life. Mm-hmm. What kind of happened in your life following that moment?
Since I started to go in the church, I've been more active in the church. Me and my family. I actually started to go in a dance lesson in a church, but it's not my thing. I can't dance. And one night there was like a music practice. So my brother is actually August. He's actually involved in the music team that time. While I was sitting there waiting for my brother, they invited me to go in front of the. And he invited me to come and sing as well. So when they heard me singing, they said to me, "Wow, you can sing, and then you definitely need to use your talent." Mm-hmm. And I just said, "Hey, I'm too shy. I think I'm still too young." I said, "Well, if you want to use your talent together, there's no age limitation." So I did sing. At the age of 12, they trained me to lead worship, and I become one of the worship leader in the youth, at the same time in the main church as well. And I've been active in the youth. I've been active in the kids ministry. So most of my life is just like I've been like house church to school, house church to school. So I'm happy with it, like making new friends in the church. So it's been fine.
So what happened once you left school? Do you go into work or?
When I left school, I still continued school. I went in a Bible school for 2 years. So I was in a Southern village or studying there. But then there was when I was 14, we noticed that my mother wasn't well. So I kind of like didn't do well in my school because I was so worried about my mom. They told me that she had a cancer. So that's my first time to hear that word cancer. I thought it was just like, it's not a serious sickness. I thought it's just like a fever. But then when they told me that she only had 6 months to live, and I was shocked that it is really serious. So I started not planning to go into school. I just wanted to be with my mom's side all the time. Just like want to watch her, look after her. And then one night my teacher came up to me and said to me, "Cristeta, what's happening to you?" And I just said that my mother was sick. I don't want to go back to school. I just want to look after her. But she said, "Do you think you're gonna help your mom if you don't go into school? If you think that this is what's happening in you in school?" So I just said that. And that day, for the first time, I questioned God. And I just said to God, why it has to be my mom? She's praying all the time. She's been a Christian for a long time. She loves you. She always puts you first. Why it has to be my mom? And I just don't understand. Then my mom says to me before, she's always saying, "I'll be okay, I'll be okay." But I'm still hoping that there will be a miracle is going to happen. And 2 years later, she's still with us. And although it's not been really easy for her, she's been in a lot of pain. She's been not really, really well. She's been fighting for 2 years. Even the doctor said she just only had 6 months to live. She's been with us for 2 years, but she's never give up that 2 years, not to just to rest, but she's always worshiping, reading her Bible, has always been praying, and it's been so amazing. So she's even hoping herself that she's gonna be healed. But when I was in Bible school, I go in school, Bible school, goes home, Bible school, goes home. And I just knew myself that I have to do something. So I decided that maybe we could ask the student to pray for my mom. And we did that. And then my teacher in school says, maybe it's better for you to go home and spend your time with your mom. So they gave me a time to go home and spend my time to my mom. And when I was in the house, me and my sisters and brothers were surrounded in her bed, and we'd been praying, we'd been singing. And the next night, I've been praying to God, says like, I think she's been fighting. She had a long fight, and I don't want to see her anymore in pain. Although I want her to be in my graduation, and that's what she always wanted as well. That she wants to be in my graduation day, but she can't even barely to walk. She can't barely to speak. She's very, very weak, and she just said it to me. I don't want to. She's worrying about me, and I just said, don't worry about me, I'll be okay. just rest now. So I went in my room, I prayed to God, and I just said, please, Lord, I know in your hands she will be in a good hands. She will be in no more pain. I don't want to see her anymore suffer. Then after I prayed that, my brothers, my sisters started crying. So I knew myself that she looks gone. When I went to see her, she's down and see her, she's gone. So I just said that I'm not going to be angry to you, God. I know you have a reason. And I might know what's the reason yet, but I know in the future, and I will realize one day. So yeah.
So tough times.
It was a tough times, yeah. Been really difficult, like growing up, no father, and I was just young as well since my mother was gone. And I was just like 14. I didn't really have a chance to get more time with her because she was very, very sick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So how was life following that?
I continued. I've been more faithful to God. I just didn't give up. I didn't complain to God because I know that God has a purpose. I know every one of us will be coming in that situation one day. I just said to God, like, no matter what happened, I still praise you. So I'm not gonna change. But yeah. But after that, my brother and my sister, a year later, we are all close, very close, and then seeing them having their own family, my sister getting married, my brother is getting married, and they're having a beautiful family. I was felt myself left behind. I was just like, they're all gone. And so I decided like, I'll be full-time in church. So I stayed in a church sometimes with the other church leaders, and I work volunteer in a church, in a coffee shops, because Pans goes in a mission. So yeah, but then I was just like, I'm getting old. People asking me like, when will you be next? So it feels like they're putting so much pressure on me. So I think like
How old were you at that point?
I'll be 21.
So not really old.
No, I know that. I know. That's why I said I'm not interested yet. I'm just happy with what I'm doing just now. So, but when I'm getting older, working in a church and going home by myself, it feels like I'm empty. I'm meeting up with the wrong people, and people from some other people who seen me goes in the church and started to judge me like, oh, Cristeta has changed. She's been goes in a church, and then now she's been surrounded with the wrong people. Like I also thought like meeting a guy, and because I feel like I need somebody to love me. Is it like a song? Somebody to love me, appreciate me, and I thought I'll be find that in a guy, a person. But it's not what my family expecting me to meet this person. So they've been really disappointed, and I've never made them disappointed before. So I was trying myself like to be a nice person, nice to be a nice sister, nice to be, but it came to the point that I hurt them so much, and it makes me feel, it guilts me so much. And I thought that, because I really hate make them, to make them feel disappointed. So it came to the point that I even wanted to end my life. But when I was just sitting in a corner crying, I saw a knife, and then, well, I thought I could just write a letter and then ask for forgiveness, and I could just end my life like this. And then after that, my brother August went to see me, and with his wife Vivian, and I saw in there they were crying and they were so disappointed about me. And after they left, I knew myself that I realized what I've done, and what I should have done. I forgot that they still love me, they still concerned about me, and I was looking a lot for other people, like random people that I've never known before, I've never met before, and then I realized that I forgot that who loves me first and who's been there for me. So I just said, I was holding a knife and ready to cut myself. But I know that the Lord spoke to me in that day. And even remember that if I killed myself, where I'm gonna go? Will I definitely go to heaven or go to hell? And I just said, I'll definitely go to hell because I'm gonna kill myself. So there's no point. I said, I'm still young, and even though I've been a Christian since before, everyone make mistake, but God's not looking for what we've done. So, and that day I prayed to God and I asked God's forgiveness, and I felt sorry, and I went to speak to my family, and I apologized. And then, since then, my sister Mildred, who lives here, she says to me, do you want to come over here for holiday, so like you can refresh your mind and think what you wanted for future for yourself. So she invited me to come over here, and supposed to be just only two weeks, but it's ended up like I could stay here for 6 months. And she said to me, there's no point, you can just only stay here for 2 weeks, you could just stay here for 6 months. So I came over here for 6 months, and there was a old couple says to me, there will be a lot of people will judge you. There will be a lot of people closing their door for you. But that is not just the only door you can go through. There's a lot of doors will be opening for you. And there will be a lot of people who accept you. Don't focus to people, always focus on God. So what you're doing right now is getting up where you were on the ground. That's very brave of you. So that's really lifts me up. When I came over here, it's been really a fresh start for my life. And I just said, okay, I'll definitely keep doing what I need to do. Like, God has always been welcoming us, you know. We made a lot of mistakes, we made a lot of failure in the past, but doesn't mean that you can't go back again. As long as you're still alive and you're breathing, you still always have a hope. So that's been going in myself, like, just always have a hope and never give up. As long as you're strong and brave and courageous, so never give up. So while I'm here, I'm helping in Filipino community church every Sunday afternoon, and been part of singing, which is my ministry in Philippines. So it's been really, what I've been doing here for 6 months has been really good, and my sister has been really a good help for me. Yeah.
Wow. So at what point did you then meet Phil? Was that while she was here, or?
When I came over here for 6 months visa, spend time with my family, never in my thought that I'm gonna be dating a guy from here. It's because my mindset before is I just want to refresh my mind, and maybe after 6 months here, let's go back in Philippines, let's go back what I have been doing before. So when I was helping my sister in Filipino community church, there was a Philip's crew from the boat going down there as well every afternoon, and they said to me, one of the guy there, he was close to Philip, he said to me, you should meet our skipper's son. He's also Christian and he play in a band. And I said, no, I'm not interested. And so every Sunday they're always saying that, and so I'm sorry, I'm not interested. I'm just going here, and after my 6 months visit here, I'll go back in Philippines. And said, you should have to. And then they just sending me a message all the time. I even block him on Facebook. And then he made a different Facebook. Still trying to convince me to meet Philip. And then Philip says as well that he's not interested to, because he's meeting someone else. I'm not sure. 2 months left while I'm here before I'm going back in the Philippines. They said to me, okay, after your 6 months here, well, they asked me, do you like here? And I said, I do like it here. It's okay, so after your 6 months, you're going back here again. We're trying to help you to go back here again and help Filipino community. So that's the plan. And so this guy named Roberto, Philip's crew in their boat, pretending it was Philip. He speaks English, but he has a poor English. I know it was him. And so I just ignored him. And then so because I become more like, oh, where do I know it? Okay, they said to me, message Philip, this is Facebook. And I said, no, I've never messaged the guy before. I never messaged the guy for the first time before, but I just made them shut up. So I said in a word, hello, Mr. Watt, in their crew's Facebook, because he says, oh, just say any English, because he think that I was only joking. Yeah, but we're not planning to meet. I just says, but this guy, we had a practice in my sister's house for the next Sunday. They asked Philip to pick them up in my sister's house after practice. I think Philip that time he was in a football game, and out of nowhere he rang the door, and then my I think my brother-in-laws opened the door, and then he let Philip come in the house, and that's our first time we met.
So was it love at first sight?
I'm still interested in him. Because I said he's too young for me. He's just like, for me, it's just like a boy. But then it's funny because he brought his guitar. His guitar was in his car, in his booth. And then my sister said, "Oh, you go and have a practice." And then Felix went down to get his guitar, and then we started singing. And I was playing my guitar as well, and he was playing his guitar. And then all the crew was, so first met, we actually sing. We sing, "How Great Is Our God." That's what we've been singing. So after that, he just non-stop messaging me, I guess. Let's start with that. Yeah.
So how long was it until you got married?
We've been married now for 5 years. We got engaged. That's actually Christmas time when we got engaged. And then I went back in the Philippines, helping my brothers in his church. And I had to stay there for 6 months before I could apply for a fiancé visa, come over here in the UK again. So we had a long distance relationship. But he went down to, well, I can't remember if he went down to see me in Philippines. I can't remember. I think he's just working really hard here for a future. And so I came over back here again, and for 6 months for fiancé visa, and we got married. And since then, we're happy.
So it was good years from that point.
It was been a good years in that point, yes.
Brilliant. And now you've got a little girl.
We got a little girl, Esther. Yeah, it's amazing. I can't believe I'm a mother. Actually, when me and Philip has been married for 3 years, we've been praying that, for me to get pregnant, because we both think that we're ready to be parents, but you have to wait for. It's ended up like God gave us Esther after 5 years. I thought before we're not gonna have a baby, because people in Philippines keep asking. I know it's not here, but people in Philippines are asking like, "Oh, when you're planning to have a baby?" It's just like they don't know that. So we've been trying. But I know God gave Esther in a perfect time.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's really. So
you're enjoying being a mom?
Yes, seeing her growing. I always wish that just slow down a bit. Yeah, seeing her, watching her growing and bringing in the church, and to see like people. It's cute as well. And she was raising her hands every time there was like a song, a worship song playing. She was just clapping her hands, raising her hands, and she just dancing. And it's really cute. Like in just young age, she already knows what she's doing. So I'm hoping that she just keep continuing what she's been doing. So, yeah.
So what are your hopes for the future?
What my hopes in the future is to be a blessing to others. Especially back in the Philippines, where I grew up. It's different from here to there. So we're hoping in the future that we could able to help churches there, and small churches. Me and Philip has been planning in the future as well. Like we could help people there. Like my brother's church. Like one of his ministry was Bajau Ministries, and been said that so I'm still very lucky and I'm not in their situation. So God's put my heart was in that ministry where my brother's working with that. So we're still working with that, yeah.
Well, you're an inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
It's just amazing to hear how you've stayed in your faith and stayed hopeful. But if there was anything you would want to leave with anyone who's watching at home, that there's just a little something you'd like to leave for them, what would that be?
I could share one of this is one of my favorite verse. It's in Proverbs 3, verse 5, 6. Says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your path." So, for all what happened to me, this is always like the verse is always coming through my mind. Like maybe a lot of people is making a wrong decision in lives. Even you're already a Christian, it's okay to make mistakes. There's no perfect, and no one's perfect. If you lose your faith to God, but you're still there alive, goes back to God, because there's no better place when you go back to God, you know. Never lose hope. No matter what happened, always trust God. And if you give everything to God, I'll make it sure that He has a better plan for you. Just like me, from simple girl before, no parents, grows alone. But God never leaves me. He's always showed His love. He's never stopped loving you. He's always there for you. And if you think that God will not going to accept you, you are wrong, because His arms is always wide open for you, and always willing to reach you, and it's always been there for you when you're down. He's always there to lift you up. So even people will judge you. A lot of people will be closing their doors for you. There's always a lot of doors that will be open for you, and just don't be afraid, because just God just wants you to be brave.
Be still for the power of the Lord is moving in this place, and He comes to cleanse and heal, to minister His grace. No work too hard for Him. In faith receive from Him. Be still for the power of the Lord is moving in this place. Oh, He's moving in this place. No work too hard for Him. In faith receive from Him. Be still for the power of the Lord is moving this place.